5 more tips and tricks for Subtlety Rogue PvP in the War Within. Tip number 1. Using Sap to apply Blackjack. If you're playing Sub Rogue, you're most likely running the Blackjack talent, which causes enemies to have 30% reduced damage and healing for 6 seconds when Sap wears off or is removed. To make the most of this, sap the kill target before you sap the healer in your opener to apply Blackjack to the kill target before you open it. This way, if they trinket your opener, they'll deal 30% less damage until the Blackjack debuff wears off. A lot of rogues think there's no reason to sap warriors, but I usually do just to apply Blackjack. Tip number 2. The secret cheap shot mechanic. Newer rogues will likely be unaware of this secret mechanic that's not written in the cheap shot tooltip. Since the beginning of World of Warcraft, the cheap shot spell has been in a special category called opener stuns. Opener stuns are a bit different from standard stun effects because opener stuns can never miss their target. This means that cheap shot will never miss even if the target has evasion or blur. Tip number 3. 4 ways to use Shadowy Duel. Shadowy Duel is a unique and powerful Subtlety Rogue PvP ability that pulls you and the target into the shadows and out of contact from all other players for a short period of time. There are 4 main ways that we can make the most of this ability. The first and most obvious way that we can use Shadowy Duel is to finish off a vulnerable opponent one-on-one by pulling them into the shadows, unable to be healed or otherwise protected by their team. The second way to use Shadowy Duel is quite similar to the first. Let's say you stun lock and burst the kill target and get them low, but now you have no more damage and everyone's on stun DR, so you can't do much CC either. This is actually a great time to use Shadowy Duel on the enemy healer instead of the kill target. This will keep the healer separated from the kill target and buy more time for your team to get the kill while you and the healer are pulled out of the game.
Too easy.
The third way to use Shadowy Duel is as an emergency defensive if you're being targeted with heavy damage. If you're getting bursted on by the enemy DPS and you don't have any defensives left, you might be able to survive if you're able to Shadowy Duel the enemy healer and run away. Most of the time the healer won't do much damage to you, and it'll buy you enough time to get away and reset while the enemy burst cooldowns run out. The last way I would suggest using Shadowy Duel is to help peel big DPS off of your teammates when they're vulnerable. If one DPS is doing a lot of damage, Shadowy Duel is a great way to pull them off of your team and give them a chance to recover. Tip number 4. Make the most of evasion. Evasion is a major defensive cooldown for all rogues that temporarily increases dodge chance by 100%. Newer players may be unaware, but physical attacks and abilities can only be dodged when they come from your front side. Any attacks that come from behind have a 0% chance to be dodged or parried. This means that if you're not facing your target when you're using evasion, it becomes completely useless. Try your best not to turn your back on the enemy with evasion up. If you need to retreat, strafing is the best for speed, but it's also one of the rare occasions that backpedaling can be very powerful too, depending on your surroundings and the positioning of the enemies. Tip number 5. How to eat in stealth. One of the most OP things a rogue can do to stay alive in PvP is to go stealth and eat food at the same time. This is another mechanic that some newer players may not be aware of that's very easy to do. Just be mindful that if you have dots on you, that they'll still pull you out of stealth even if you're eating. Now, all you have to do to eat while stealth is start eating out of stealth, then press stealth while you're sitting down and eating. If you do it in this order, you should be sitting and eating in stealth at the same time. Don't move your character unless you want to stop eating, but be mindful that if people see you do this, they'll know where you're eating and likely try to hit you out of stealth, so don't stay there for too long. That's it for this episode of Subtlety Rogue Tips and Tricks. If you'd like to see 6 more tips with an extra bonus tip at the end, then check out this video here. Or sit back, relax, and enjoy this entire playlist of Subtlety Rogue guides right here. I've also got plenty of videos of me doing rogue arenas with PlayStation controllers, motion controls, and even in virtual reality, So go check those out too for some live examples of me using all these tips.